smell ozone and old dusty books. You feel nothing but adrenaline and rage and the weapons in your hands. As you open your eyes, you are in Tom's workshop. You are in the ritual hall. No bullshit. We're getting right into this. You see in front of you, or actually probably below me on this overlay, you see this layout of Tom's workshop. You see 4 sections, north, east, south, west. In each section, there is a little concentric circle ritual. In the very center, there's a circle. Up above in that center circle, about 40 feet in the air, there is this arcane sort of bubble that is holding Veridin, a witchy woman, very powerful, sort of in a T pose, that is trying to keep this ethereal white-looking dagger that's being slowly magically pulled through her shield barriers one at a time, breaks, and this ball is being held by sort of ethereal chains that are latched to these little floating islands north, east, south, west, and those little circles. And on the border of this circular room, there is these stacks, like bookcases, that have these little crystal balls in them, each with like different colored smoke inside of them roiling around. And in the southern half of the room are our heroes, but preventing them from moving into the room more, there is 4 glass golems. They have they're very like jagged glass golems in the humanoid shapes, and they have changed some of their hands to resemble what looks like weapons, or a spear, or a sword, or a shield, something like that. And in one of their reflections, there is Tom. Tomareth Ivaris Jean Abacus, first wizard of the Academy, keeper of the secret flame, and inventor of the counting machine. An old man that has a long white beard and a starry cloak, and a little bit of green behind his eyes. And as the camera turns around, we see our heroes. They're inside of this bubble. Behind them, there are these keepers of the veil, these wraiths that are somehow being kept out of the room by this sort of aura or something. And across the room on the northern half, there is Helene Ozan, Dul's mother, who's a half-orc, that has been sort of blasted out of the way due to very quick spell thinking from Winnie Chandler. And we will get right into the initiative at the top. When it is your turn, please describe your character. It is first Dull, then it is Vetra, then it is the glass golems, then it is the layer effects. Below that, there is Theo, then Tom, and then last with Winnie Chandler.
Dull is looking how he always has, at least from the beginning. His hair is a little longer than 2 years ago when he started out. His beard is a little thicker than it used to be. His body is frail and gaunt and darkened around the eyes, and he's had a tough past year. But he has prepared every moment of this past week for this moment. He has prepared so much to be ready for this. And some time ago, they were all told that they were to take something that they loved and hone it for years to harness the magic within it so that it might be pointed enough to take against Tom. But what Tom has yet to realize is that Dull is what has been honed. He has prepared every part of himself for this moment for the last God knows how long, for knowing that this is the end of all things. He desperately wants to keep Tom's attention, but he wants to know what he's getting into. So first thing off of this turn is I'd like to take a look at these circles. I want to know what they're about on the ground.
Okay, so yeah, give me an investigation check or a perception.
I have a 19.
Okay, with a perception, you're going to learn a little bit different sort of information than you would with an investigation or an arcana. But you look around the room, you're looking specifically at these circles, correct?
Yes.
So it looks like this is where Tom does most of their rituals, or has done them in the past. And I would say these little circles, they each have like weird sort of like moving runes about them. And it seems like that's sort of helping power these ethereal chains that are holding Veridin. But it seems as if as you're looking at this little ball that Veridin is sort of trapped in and is holding out this dagger as it is slowly moving very quickly through these shield barriers that she has. There is magic that is sort of like flying off, almost like solar flares, off of this magical bubble, and they are striking the 4 circles in the northeast, southwestern areas, and it looks like these circles are starting to react to them. You think something, some effect might take place in these areas. They might be good or bad.
Okay.
But right now, it seems as if they are not active, but it seems like it might change.
And you said Helene is sort of in the center of the north circle.
Yeah, she's in the center of the northern circle. And as you say that, you see the aura in this, like in the big bubble that you're in, it sort of like pulses, and it looks like it's pushing her out of the bubble and pushes her to like the northernmost side outside of the bubble. So it looks like only the heroes, these golems, Veridin, and like Tom's reflection are the only ones that are in this circle.
I am going to run over to the north circle if I can get there in one turn. That's my
I will
plan.
say there is these 4 little glass golems in the way. Pretty much to move from one circle to the next is like basically I think everyone has 30 feet of movement. Just using one movement gets you to the next circle.
I'm going to look to Vetra and speak plainly to anyone listening. It's the circles. We need to sever their connections. We need to free Veridin. That needs to happen before we do anything with this piece of shit. We need to move quick. Vetra, we need you to keep his attention. Master of Tactics. So, using a bonus action, Vetra has been given advantage on the next attack that they make on their turn. And then I'm going to use my turn to take a ranged attack at the one farthest to the left. So the westmost golem that is in my way that would give me op attack. I'm going to fire with Widow's Fang right at its stupid little glass face.
Awesome.
I have a 19.
That hits.
10 points of damage.
Okay, alright, so it will still have to make that con save then. Okay, it failed.
Okay, so now it's going to take 6d6 magic poison damage.
Oh boy.
26 points of magic poison.
How close do you all think you are to the glass golems?
I'm probably about 15 feet, to be honest.
Okay. Alright, you do not have to make a dexterity saving throw. So you shoot this thing. What does it look like?
I think that Dull does this combat roll into a knee. The spider climbs up out of his wrist halfway through that roll. He comes out of it, wrist extended, flaps down his fist, and immediately the widow shoots this giant syringe straight into the center of this golem. And before the golem can really even recognize the target, its hands moving in to try and catch the syringe before it can affect. It has already moved past its grasp. It moves cleanly into a miss and then fires straight into the chest of this thing and hits so perfectly at a tension point that the chest shatters in on itself, and then its arms and limbs fall into this massive pile on the floor.
It starts to fall in on itself, and then it also shoots out with a bunch of glass shards, but you are away from this area where it shoots out glass shards, so you just cover yourself, and there's a little bit of like stinks onto you, a little bit of scratches, but out of its reach as it shatters.
Going to use my move action to just get myself into the west circle. Still moving towards the north. I'm calling out to my mother. I'm trying to make sure she's all right. I'm moving straight there.
She hears you, and it sounds like it's muffled because she's on the other side. It looks like there's enough room for her to like scoot to get back around and exit the room.
Okay.
But she's like standing up, and she just sort of like just like waves, like I'm being like, I'm okay,
Okay.
as she's standing up.
Beautiful.
Next turn, but unfortunately there's a little legendary action that Tom is going to do. You see the reflection of Tom in the 3 remaining little glass golems. He's like, I don't want to kill you, but unfortunately I cannot let you stop me. He reaches out to the side, and you see when he closes his hands, a white staff just appears in his hand with a sort of black stone at the head of it that has almost like a white wooden claw around it, and a little glow starts to glow around this black orb at the top of it, and he points it at you, Vetra. And Vetra, can you give me a intelligence save?
Yes, I can.
You need to get a 20.
Counterspell. Winnie had been hoping to save this for something else because or not for something else, but she doesn't know. It feels too early to be doing this again, but she sees Tom extend a hand towards Vetra. She can't help herself. And so she has one hand grabbing that spell that hit Helene, and then she tries with the other to also try to remove this spell from Tom.
You need to roll. The DC is 11, so it is a 4th level spell.
That is a 13.
Okay, yeah. So you see this spell. I would say, Vetra, for a second, this spell, even though you didn't even have to say, but for a second, you sort of get a glimpse into what this was going to be. You feel this like aura sort of go around your eyes, and you blink for a second, and everyone is a glass golem around you, including your friends. But then you blink it away as you see Winnie, boom, just like knock this spell out of the air as Tom is casting it. You see him sort of like recoil in the reflection.
Thank God.
And
I do not want to fight Vetra. Fuck that shit.
And you blink more, and it returns to normal. And you just, you see your friends as normal, and the glass golems as normal. And he says, very clever. Very, very clever.
You had to make your friends, or whatever the fuck you call those abominations next to you. We stand together.
We will see. And that is the end of his legendary action. Moving into Vetra's turn.
Vetra, now standing there with a new worry as she is looking around at her friends like, oh no. Vetra's like honey blonde hair is pulled back into the braids that she usually has when she knows she's going into a fight. And she does have this blue T across her face, and a little more of the blue war paint like across her neck to highlight the Nemeria tattoo. And she just kind of like, as she's looking around at everybody, her eyes stop on Winnie, and she just kind of grins and says, thanks, and then charges forward at the golem to the right, and with like Dole's words just ringing in her head, she is going to bring her shield back and slam into the one on the right, slamming into its side to hopefully slam it into the one beside it as well.
Hell yeah.
If I hit, I'm going to also expend a charge to deal additional force damage, and it will have to make a dexterity saving throw.
If you do enough damage to kill one of the minions, if there's another minion within reach, you can move the rest of the damage to them.
So thank you for advantage, because the first one was a natural 1, and the second one was a 25.
That is.
So I am going to expend a charge on my shield, and altogether, that is going to be 10 damage altogether, and it needs to make a dex save. 15.
Yeah, the plus 0. So that is a fail.
Yes. That means it's pushed 15 feet in a direction of my choice, and I want it to be pushed directly into the one beside it.
Okay. What does that do? Extra damage?
Your call. We've had it do damage when it was like slammed into walls and stuff.
I mean, since it's hitting another person, roll me a d6, because that's just like falling damage, and that's
6.
Like, okay, so what is that total then?
16.
Okay, so it shatters. I'm gonna need you to give me a dex save though. You need to get just a 14.
I rolled a 14 with my bonus is more than 14. 16, I
Okay,
think.
so yeah, you come up, slam, or I guess did you hit it first and then you slammed it?
No, I just slammed it with my shield, and then I think when I slam it, I just put the shield up to block my face because I know what's coming.
Yeah, I would say the camera is behind you as you slam and sort of in slow motion. It hits the other one and just glass showers around the shield. Very, very cinematic superhero-like. And that one is destroyed as well.
Great. And for my second attack, I would like to hit the one that I've slammed that one into. I'll hit this one with my sword. I put the shield down and I just swing around with my sword. Do I have advantage on this one as well, or just the first one, Dull?
Just the one.
28.
That is definitely a hit. This is the one with Tom in it. The
Okay.
one with Tom's reflection in it.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes me nervous. Okay, 10 damage because I'm not raging yet. Now I will rage. Slamming into this. I think I slam into it. I see that it didn't shatter, and I look into it, and I see Tom's reflection, and I just close my eyes, crack my neck, and it's not even like a dramatic rage at this point. It's just my eyes open, and they're a different color for a moment, and I'm just staring at Tom's reflection, and I just have my shield ready.
Hell yeah. You see the reflection of Tom stands still as the golem sort of like wheels around, and you see it had normal hands, but as you came to attack, it sort of formed into a spear. It's two hands sort of coming together and stopping your blow, but you see little spiderweb cracks go all the way down it. But it's still like it's holding you at bay, but it looks like it's just about to fall apart. And you see Tom inside it, just sort of like looking at you with this sort of normal, quizzical, weird old man stare with a little bit of green in the back of his eyes. And I guess that is your turn. We're going to do another little legendary action at the end of your turn. And you see Tom just sort of like tap his staff. And you see the other two piles of glass in the room. You see more glass golems start to constitute and like step out of the glass piles. And you see 6 come out of it. So for a total of 8 in the room. They just sort of constitute. They have not moved yet, but now it is their turn, so they can move now. And you see the let's see. There's 2 next to Vetra right now.
How many of the glass golems popped out of the glass pile on the east side of the room, and how many came out of the pile on the west side of the room?
The pile on the right side is completely gone, and it looks like there's a smaller pile on the western side. It looks like there's not that many left that can come out. That will be, I guess, my answer for that. I will say 4 of them are going to attack Vetra, and then 4 of the other ones are going to be running towards Dull. I'm going to need you to give me first... can you give me a strength contest with this first one? You need to get a 23.
I got a 22.
Okay, so this first glass golem comes up, grabs you, and basically, or grapples you, pushes you to the ground. You are prone. So that means the other 3 get advantage on attacking you.
Wonderful.
Before, only 1 was going to hit you, now 2 hit you. So it really wasn't that much more. Unfortunately, that is 21 halved to, I guess, 10 damage coming at you from their slashes. So you see these glass golems come up. The first one just sort of like barrels into you. And you're sort of struggling with them for a second, but then they take you over. And this one just sort of like holds you down like this, while the other ones constitute into spears and just start stabbing down. And only 2 of them, as you're rolling around, dodging, pushing them out of the way, only 2 sort of make purchase or hit against your shield, and you can feel a little bit of your strength dissipating from these attacks. And the other 4 try to go for Dull. Acrobatics or a strength. contest.
Thank Christ. Yeah, I'm gonna take that
You
acrobatics.
just need to get a 9.
I rolled a 5. We're okay.
All right.
So I have an 11 to pass.
Cool. So the first one, they do not grab you. You push them away. The second one comes at you. You need to roll that again.
Leave
You need to
me
get a 12.
alone. Okay, we're good. That one's an 18.
Okay, so the rest of the two see that you are unbreakable, unbringdownable. So the other two just go to slice at you.
Okay.
And your AC currently is 16. So one misses, the other one strikes true.
Can I use my reaction, uncanny dodge, to have whatever the damage is, basically? So
Yeah, I think so.
if you roll damage, whatever it is, it gets halved.
Cool. So that is only 3 damage coming at you.
Yeah.
So first, these 2 glass golems run at you, and they try to throw you to the ground. And you're dodging, weaving, ducking under them. And the other two, they constitute into like axe handles, and they start shoom, shoom. Well, actually, just one constitutes into an axe handle. You dodge under it, and then you see the other one 2 daggers, and it starts stabbing up at you, and that's the one that clips you.
Dull is doing like Legolas shit. He's like jumping off the blade of the axe and then
Hell yeah.
flipping over the other, and just barely cuts against his arm as he's sliding underneath the daggers. Takes that 3 damage.
If they weren't glass constructs that had no feelings, they would be impressed. But
we are impressed, Dole.
Yeah.
We are impressed.
You guys are
Thank
impressed.
you. That's all I need.
And then that is the glass golem's turn. Then is the layer. I don't think anyone is over here, because you went to the western circle, correct?
Yes, I'm in the western.
So in the eastern circle, you see, well, eastern section is not just the circle. Think of it as like slices of pie is each of the sections. So in the eastern slice of pie, where that circle lies, you see one of those sort of like sun ray, sort of like magic things hits that side, and you see it's almost like it's lighting up, and then this sort of aura takes over that eastern slice, and you see dark black ribbons sort of coming up on that section, and little like pieces of ash floating up, and that is going to be there until its next round. But no one is in there, so you're not quite sure what it does. And that is the layer's turn. Now it is Theo's turn.
Theo actually looks probably the best that we've seen her in a while. She actually has a little bit of color in her face for once. Never really seen it before. Her skin looks a little bit brighter. Her eyes aren't quite as dull as they have been in the past. She looks pretty tired, but determined, though a little bit scared, as per usual. And Theo is going to see all of these golems that are attacking Dull, and she is going to try and cast Bane at the 2nd level. So I can target at the 2nd level up to 4 creatures of my choice that I can see within range. You're going to need to make a charisma saving throw.
Cool. I'll roll their charismas right now. They have a +0, and they just have to get a 17 with that to save. 2 of them saved. Wow, that's weird. You got 18 and a 19, but the other 2 do not save.
You see Theo reach to her hip, pull out her dagger, and slice her hand open before she casts Bane at the golems that are attacking Dull. And maybe because he is doing some crazy martial arts stuff, the golems are kind of going everywhere, so it just kind of misses a couple of them by accident. Any attack roll is going to take a 1d4 penalty. And any saving throw they have to make is also going to make a 1d4 penalty. In order to do it, Theo has to take out that dagger, and she has to cut her hand open in order to get blood to cast it. So you don't really see any color in the air with her magic. It's more like smoke filling the air or filling their minds as she kind of whispers and holds her bleeding hand. So the golems kind of start to like clink a little bit, like they're almost like they're confused or they don't quite know what's happening, as they're affected by this blood magic that Theo does.
I would say the rest of the golems are sort of like reflecting nothing or reflecting light. These ones become like their inner light is sort of like a dimmish, reddish black smoke, and it looks, yeah, like you said, they look confused, even though they don't have faces. They're just planes of glass, but they're moving a little bit slower, looking a little confused. Anything else you want to do on your turn, Theo?
I would like to give bardic inspiration to Winnie. So Theo will look over at Winnie and wave a little bit and kind of like stage whisper, "You taught me that one. You taught me that one." You get +8.
Now it is Tom's turn. And you see Tom in the reflection, Vetra, the reflection that you didn't quite crack. You see holding the spear, sort of like pushes your sword off for a second, and you see it mimics Tom holding the staff for a second. And he's like, "I believe you should all stay exactly where you are." And he double taps his staff and sort of waves it around, and this giant green wall of flame surrounds all of you except for Dull, because he has moved out of the way. There's a 30-foot circle of flame that is surrounding you all. I believe it is also like 30 feet high. So this big wall of fire surrounds you all, and it stays there. You see, as a sort of bonus, he changes the reflection he's in to a different golem that is outside of the firewall, that is next to Dull. Or I guess all you see, Vetra, is he sort of double taps and the reflection is gone. Dull, the one that just stabbed you, Tom's reflection appears inside of it.
Can we see through this fire, or is it?
I'll roll a d6 to see if you can. No, you cannot.
Fuck. Okay.
I'd say maybe you can see like shapes vaguely, but it is like all green fires, all encompassing. There's no like holes in it. And Tom sort of speaks up to Dull. He says, "You had so much promise, young man. So much you were. But unfortunately, it seems as if you lack the bigger picture, it seems. So very sad."
It's a shame you're so blinded, Tom. I used to think the same of you.
Well, seems you might need to double check your work then.
I'll make a habit of it once you're dead.
We will see. We will see. And then it is Winnie's turn. Winnie, can you give me just an Arcana check real quick?
19.
Okay, so
While a million thoughts are running through Winnie's head, she's looking at the spell circle. She's looking at Veridin up in the air. She's looking at her friends. She just kind of closes her eyes and is trying to feel the magic around her. You know, Tom, showing your work only matters if your teacher gives literally any shits about you.
what's that? Big flames surrounding you. What are you talking about?
Winnie cares about those spell circles that are in the room, and she cares about what appears to be binding Veridin up in the air. So I think that's exactly what she cares about.
Okay. Boom, your focus goes towards the ball, and also the location of the dagger and how fast it is moving through. You think maybe another round, maybe 2 more rounds, it might break through and get to Veridin. This is happening very quickly. You can also see that what is holding that ball together is indeed these ethereal chains that become physical on those floating platforms in the north, east, south, and western corners. You think if somehow breaking or dismantling those chains will release Veridin and stop this dagger from increasing into them. A little bit more information about the circles. It seems to be random what it's doing, and it also has different effects on whatever area it activates.
So eyes closed. Winnie is still in the process of grabbing onto the spell that Tom tried to cast at Helene, and is grabbing onto the spell that he tried to cast on Vetra. And Winnie will take those threads of magic and instead kind of look beyond the wall of fire, look beyond kind of what's happening to Veridin in the center of the room, and she will reach out to the chain coming from the northern circle or the northern portion of the room, and she will attempt to cast Dispel Magic on that chain.
What's the range on Dispel?
120 feet, baby.
All right. Okay, cool. Do you have to roll something for higher level spells or something?
So it's the 10 plus the level of the spell.
Cool. Is it DC 19?
I figured. So we're going to roll, and then we're going to see if we have to use that Bardic Inspiration. So first, how much was the Bardic Inspiration?
It's a plus
8.
8.
With the Bardic Inspiration, that puts us at a 20.
Hell
Winnie could
yes.
not have done this without Theo.
Hell yeah. So what does this look like casting this spell through the flames as they part?
2 golden threads, one from the left hand, one from the right. One begins to weave itself through the chains from the top. The other begins to weave through the chains from the bottom. And as they meet in the center, they go taut, and then those threads sever, taking the ethereal chains with them.
Awesome. They just sort of turns into this light as it disappears, sort of like whipping for a second as it's slowly disappearing. And yeah, the ball looks like there's maybe a little bit of cracks in the ball that is holding Veridin, and you see her like come a little bit more conscious because she was incredible focus before, didn't even say anything to you all, and now you see her eyes open a little bit. She's able to understand a little bit more of what's going on. And I would say, Doll, you see Tom in the reflection look back. The golem does not move, but he looks back at what just happened. It looks very unhappy.
And Winnie will hold her ground in the middle of that swirling vortex of fire and stay put.
At the end of your turn, we get another legendary from Tom. And he looks around. Dole, you see him looking around in the glass. He's like, we can't have any of that, can we? And taps his staff 2 times. And I need everyone to give me an intelligence save.
Counterspell.
Okay. You do not have to roll.
Okay.
You just automatically counterspell this thing. Just boom, it goes away.
Actually, you know what? Can Winnie... Actually, I will ask this question for fairness. Winnie is still standing inside of the swirling vortex of fire. Is she able to see Tom well enough to
roll me a
counterspell?
D20.
Because she does need line of sight for counterspell. That is a 19 on the D20.
Yes, I say it's through the flames. I would say maybe the flames, because you just counterspelled, maybe there's like a little break in the flames temporarily, just for vision's sake, not for jumping through's sake, but just able to see through this flame to be able to counterspell.
And that is a 4th level counterspell, because that's where we're at.
Awesome. Boom. Stop. You see his staff started to glow, and you see a sort of spider web, sort of like the golden spider web before, and he seems to be following the spider web, and sort of you feel like each of you are on this other path, and he begins to go to pluck one of the strings, and it disappears in front of his hand. And he looks very irritated, and he sort of looks back and he says, "You might want to conserve He looks at Winnie. And that is his legendary action. It has been thwarted. So we go back to the top of the round with Dull.
That was one round, guys. One round.
Yeah, holy shit.
Oh, fuck.
So he is basically right in front of me, right?
Yes, he's in that reflection.
And I can't see the others through the green flames.
You can see their shapes. That 3 of them are in there, but yeah.
I'm going to use a bonus action to disengage as a rogue.
These floating platforms that have the chains on top of them, they have these little floating steps up to them. Also, just a reminder, there are these little crystal balls that are on the wall as well. But yeah, you can... it has these little floating steps to get up to the floating platform.
Okay, so I'm going to step up there. I'm running up to where this chain might be.
Yes. You see, it is all the way ethereal until it reaches the platform where it is like a big metal chain locked there. There's like these floating runes around it. That is what you see there.
Yeah, I used Tom being distracted by Winnie's brilliance to skirt up those steps up to these chains. And Dull, sort of heaving his breath, realizing just how much he had to do just to get away from those fuckers, and seeing this giant wall of fire that's taken up half the room. He goes, God, I hope this works. And he's going to reach into the air and swirl his hand about, and this beautiful pitch black smoke begins to emanate from his wrist, as materializing into his hand, fully souped, is Vigo's Black Thorn, which used to be a longsword, but is now, since we have gone many years, broken through the middle, resembles much more a short sword of Dull's liking. And he takes this half-broken hilt, which is still swirling about this shadowed magic that I believe is taken on since the cauldron. He's going to swipe down and stab it directly into one of the bindings and hopefully free the West Circle.
When you're looking at this chain, what are you thinking in your mind?
When Dull originally wanted Blackthorn from Veridin, it was out of this remembrance of 2 years ago. Because Dull very much, because he is not magical himself outside of what his mother brought to his people, and because he lacks a lot of the things that will keep you naturally safe outside of his own skill, so much of what makes him a Knight of Nemeria is about how he analyzes what has happened to him. So that experience 2 years ago, what Vigo was trying to convince him was the only way to stay alive, has been so present in his mind that he believed that Blackthorn was part of it. He remembered how piercing that sword was into his back. He remembered every moment that it took the life from him. And he became obsessed with this idea at the moment of finding Veridin and knowing it could be his again, that he could use it on Tom. So while this is a temporary measure to remove Veridin from the equation and get her back to Rue, this is just one step in a long plan of taking this broken hilted sword and burying it so deep into the chest of Tom that he realizes beyond a shadow of a doubt that death is inescapable.
You hold that sort of thought in your mind. Death to Tom. I want you to give me a wisdom check. You need to get a 19.
I just barely passed with exactly a 19.
Okay. So you start to swing this broken sword down.
So 18 total.
That was exactly the number that you needed to destroy this chain. It just boom! Slices through it as you bring the sword down. The old blade shoots out as a new blade comes out of it, and it just boom slices through this thing just like butter, and actually embeds itself into the island as you hold that thought in your mind of kill. And the sword for right now is full again. It is a blade. Basically, you have to hold this idea in your mind every single time you use this sword. You have to make this check, otherwise the hilt will break. It is your conviction has to be so your conviction has to be as strong as the blade. If it wavers at all, it breaks. And it does a fuck ton of damage. And there's also another fancy thing, but I won't explain it.
You gave me
you can-
another broken item. I love you so much. He pulls it free from the stone once. It's still smoking that beautiful gas that's emanating off of it in this a perfect black smoke. And he levels it to the sky and then points it directly at Tom, hoping to catch his eyes.
I would say he looks at it and he says, so that's where Blackthorn has been. You have a good enough passive insight. You saw a little twitch of fear.
Adam, I can't believe this shit.
So you slice the western chain, and it sort of disappears just like it was dispelled as Winnie did before. It flies up.
How much of my move did I use to get up there, actually?
I think you use half.
Could I use the other half to round about going through the north circle on my way to the east?
Unfortunately, no. You can get to the edge of the western circle.
I'll take it.
Wherever.
Got it.
So Vetra is on her back. Vetra is pinned down to the ground right now. Is Vetra grappled?
You were just prone. You're not grappled. Basically,
Great.
They grabbed you to push you onto the ground.
Perfect.
So you can just half move and stand up.
Awesome. Vetra is on her back looking up at these golems that are standing over her. She sees from one side that eastern circle light up. She sees the firewall lighting all around. She sees Winnie's golden threads shoot across the whole room, and then she sees one of the chains break. She sees another chain break soon after, and there's just this moment of guys, I haven't even gotten up yet. And there is this urgency to be helpful and protective, and I am going to stand up. I know I have these 4 golems right here by me, so I'm just gonna... The shield worked pretty fine last time. I'm just gonna arch it back and slam into the one closest to me.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, that's a natural 20.
Cool. Well, that is a crit. So basically, max damage on that, and then roll the dice on top of that.
Oh god, for my shield. Okay, I'm gonna expend another charge. That's gonna be 31 points of damage.
Okay, so you cleave through 2 of these glass golems, just all this glass. But actually, you have to give me 2 dex saves, unfortunately.
Yes, I do.
Just a 14 or above.
I got a 15 for the first one and a 17 for the second.
Okay, yeah. So you, again, slicing through with the shield right up after it. Boom, boom, boom. A spray of glass knocking off your shield, not hitting you in the least bit. There is 2 more glass golems in front of you. One has already been damaged. It was the one that had Tom in it before. And one other one.
Yeah, my second one, I just spin around and I do it again. Oh, maybe I don't. Let's see. That's a dirty 20, actually.
That's a 100% hit.
We're gonna spend another charge on the shield.
How many charges do you have left on the shield?
That is 12 points of damage.
Do you want to use that one on the already damaged one, or do you want to use it? I mean,
let's do the already damaged one. Yeah,
so
that sounds great.
Destroys that one.
To answer your question, I have 3 charges left on my shield.
Okay.
And I rolled a dex save for that one, and I got a 9.
Okay. Unfortunately, that failed. That's 5 damage, halved to 2.
Great.
Coming at you. And did you say the last... Since you cleaved through that first one and hit the next guy, I think he could still make that dex save for the shield that you wanted. What do they need to get?
15.
I fail. Okay, got 7.
Great. Yeah, that last one that's left is going to go 15 feet. If it can hit the firewall, that's what I want it to do.
100%. So it gets hit by the... I mean, honestly, even with half damage, even if it does succeed, it is completely destroyed. So you
Great.
blast it, it flies off of its feet right into the flames and just sort of disappears.
And then the one little slice of the one little glass slice across my cheek, I just wipe off, and I'm just looking around to see if I can see Dole through the flames.
Hell yeah. Give me a perception. I would say, unfortunately, you have to do this with disadvantage because the flame wall is in the way. But let's just say it's a 15.
No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just squinting through, and I'm not able to see anything.
All right, yeah. That is your turn. They're going to use last legendary action they can right now. You see 2 more golems constitute out of that last pile of glass. There's no more glass piles. So there's only 6 glass golems left. Now it is the golems' turn. All of the golems, all 6 of them run up and they hold their movement for it to change. So they're all, let's just say, in the northern bubble right now, waiting. So then now that is the layer. Oh boy. Okay. So everyone who is in the southern section, which is all 3 of you, I'm going to need you to give me a dex save of 15.
Nat 20.
Oh.
16 on the die.
16 as well.
Okay. All right. So Theo, since you got a nat 20, you take nothing. Winnie and Vetra, you take half. Damage, basically you take 7. It is lightning damage, so that is not halved. Vetra, you see another sort of solar flare of magic come out of the bubble, hit the southern section, and then just lightning sort of erupts from the ground, and arcs are going everywhere. It is electrocuting everything in that southern slice of pie, and good thing that you succeeded. I would say for a second when the lightning hits through you, your vision sort of blacks out for a second, but then you are able to see again, and the lightning is flying around in that area as you are all surrounded by that wall of fire. And that is the layer's action. And now it is Theo's turn. Theo, there's lightning everywhere around you. You are surrounded by a wall of fire.
I know that the chains are made of magic, but you said they're chains, which implies that they're metal. Could I use Shatter on that circle to take out the golems and the chain? It's a Constitution saving throw.
Icky.
They have disadvantage on the saving throw. I
Oh,
know
the
it's
chains.
magic.
I feel like glass should also have disadvantage.
It does. Well, it says crystal.
Oh, crystal. Yeah, 100%. They have disadvantage, and the chain does as well. Well, the chain, it's an inanimate object, so it automatically fails. But the other 5, we will have them roll. 3 of them beat it. 2 of them do not. So roll the damage. Let me know what that is.
18.
18. Okay, well that automatically destroys the chain with the shatter. That also, the 2 that failed, automatically dead. The other 2, so half of 18, 9. So that is 9 for the other 3.
It's kind of similar to what she did with Thunderclap, where she thinks that she's cast it and she's kind of like waiting for the ball to drop and it doesn't, so she thinks she's fucked it up because she's so used to fucking it up. But then instead of just kind of like poof, nothing happening, everybody in the room hears this very shrill, loud, like almost like a death screech noise. And immediately, even without the line of sight through the flames, you hear the shattering of the glass, and you see the links of the chain, this magic chain, also shatter.
As a screech, and you see 2 of them, the glass golems, explode, and the other 2 just sort of crack, and a little bit of the glass sort of flies at them as well from the exploding ones, and the chain sort of whips around as it slowly dissipates, and you see this ball that is holding Verid in the air is getting really, really close to breaking as this dagger is almost through their last barrier. as the dagger is getting closer and closer. Anything else you'd like to do with your turn?
Yeah, I would like to use my Bardic Inspiration to give Dull Bardic Inspiration on his next turn. Theo is going to stand as tall as she can on her tiptoes and shout, Dull, I love you!
I love you too. You're doing so well.
You get 10 back. I rolled as high as I could.
Cool. So
Oh!
you have a 10 to
Yeah, you got
add
10.
to whatever sort of thing you want next time. Now is Tom's turn, finally. You say, I love you, Dull, and you see one of the glass columns that has Tom in it still. Looks over at Dull, and you see this black sort of energy starts to go around his staff. I told you I didn't want to kill you. And give me a dex save, Dull. You need to get a 20.
Okay. To a saving throw, it's a +8. So I just rolled a 14. I have a 24. No, that's math. 22. Excuse me.
Dull. Instead of
Yes.
rolling that, you now roll a 2. Tom uses one of his divinatory things to have you roll a 2 instead.
Oh, fucking portent. Okay. Okay.
What does that make your total to be? Do you still
Uh,
succeed at the 20?
No, it's a 10.
Would you like to use anything to add on top of that?
I don't think I have anything.
No.
You do have the Bardic Inspiration die.
I do, but I need it.
I've got a couple more.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't use it if you're dead, so maybe we use it right now.
Yeah. I'll put forward the +10. So I'm at a 20 straight up.
Okay. You see this sort of swelling of dark magic, and then this black ray shoots right at you, and you just like barely like bullet time. You feel time sort of like you were in the way of it, and there was 2 worlds where you were hit by it, and then you sort of divert to the using this inspiration to just barely, as it shoots right past your face and hits the floor. I'm just gonna tell you how much you would have taken if that would have hit you.
I think while we hear the spell going off too, Vetra is just yelling, we need to get rid of this fire!
You would have taken 77 damage.
I would have died. I would have been
Good
dead.
call using that bardic inspiration.
Or I would have been
He
down.
used disintegrate on you.
Oh,
Oh, god damn it.
And it just misses and just actually destroys a portion of the wall behind you. Or actually,
Holy
yeah,
shit.
hits all of those sort of a big section of all those prophecy little crystal balls. And actually, give me a dex save real quick, Dull.
Okay.
It's low. It's a 14.
Okay. I have a 16. I'm good.
Okay. You see some weird magical effects fly out of these balls. It looks like little wild magic surges are flying out of these things, and none of them hit you. I believe that is Tom's turn.
Can Winnie walk up? There's no more glass golems in this southern circle. There are the fire is raging around. Can Winnie, her sword is already drawn, this beautiful long sword that is still an idiot, but does hold a special place in her heart, is in her hand. Can she walk up and try to strike the chain?
Yes. So you take out this sword. Ah, there we are, Willie Chandler. Well, good to finally be among the living, says the sword. Well, so what sort of heroic deeds have you done today, eh? I have a feeling you need my power.
I helped a friend save herself. And I need your help to kill a fucking wizard.
That, indeed, is a valiant deed. Swing! And the sword glows bright! And you are able to use all of the other cool shit that this sword has to offer, of its secret abilities.
I think this is the best we've ever gotten along. And Winnie will say
Indeed.
that as she reaches kind of the apex of these stairs and goes to swing through the chains. That is a 17 to hit.
Unfortunately, that does not hit.
So Winnie will use a bonus action, once again channeling the kind of strength she finds in her friends to swing again and try to see if she can hit it. And that is a 25 to hit.
Okay, that does hit. So the first swing, you hit the chain, but it sort of rebuffs you, and you come back again.
And on the backswing, his divine radiance will shine with radiant light. She will use one of its charges to cast smite.
What did you roll to hit it?
On the die, it's a 17.
He's going to again use his divinatory roll to make that a 2 instead, so you do not hit on that second strike.
Ugh. Tom.
I do not like this thing that you're doing.
You sound scared. I like that. And that's all Winnie will do. So she's standing at the apex of those stairs, holding his divine radiance.
We'll use basically all of his legendary actions at the end of your turn. Winnie, can you give me a dexterity saving throw?
8.
As you see a very similar charging of this black energy around Tom's staff as he's pointing it towards you, would you like to counterspell?
Yeah.
Yes, level 6. So you're
Yeah.
going to have to get a 16 or above.
So I need an 11.
Ah, boy.
That's a 12. So total 17.
Hell!
And Winnie blows her last level 4 spell slot for that.
You see as this ray comes towards you, and how do you block it, hit it out of the way, stop it, sort of like wizard style? What does this look like?
Winnie is holding his divine radiance, and as it's shining with that radiant light, she will turn the blade. Maybe it's Tom uses his portent to make Winnie miss the chain. And instead, she goes and turns the blade towards that dark light, and it will reflect off of the sword.
Oh, dope. Yeah, so it just, you turn the sword, boom, and it just like pings out and crashes through the window, blowing out one of the windows. Immediately, as you counterspell this, you're like, this feels too easy fighting Tom like this. And you get 2 ideas. He is either invisible somewhere in the room, or he's in the ethereal plane having to cast through these things. So he is like here, but he's not here. But if actually, with that information, if he was invisible, he would probably be able to counterspell stuff. So you know that he is in the ethereal plane having to cast through these things. Otherwise, you would have counterspelled your counterspell and blah, 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 blah. Because he looks a little irritated in these reflections. Winnie, do you remember what I said when you rolled that Arcana check on the first round, that it seemed like they had maybe only 1 round left before that dagger pierced through their last shield?
1 or 2, maybe.
Yes. That is why I'm going to be rolling a luck check
Oh, Adam.
right now. If it is a 10 or above, you have 1 more round till it pierces. You see this dagger as it has been pulled, and you see the last of Verdon's shields cracking, and then boom, it pushes the dagger back just a few feet, buying you 1 last round. I rolled a 19.
Oh,
So, back to the top of the round.
how far is the chain I'm on now from the chain I need to get to?
Basically 30 feet.
I use a bonus action to Misty Step using Blackthorn immediately to the other chain.
Since you're going to, I'll say, unfortunately, everything with that sword, you have to make this wisdom check at the beginning of your turn.
Okay.
So you need to roll a 19 or above.
Well, it's a natural 1 I just rolled.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Dole, it does work. But unfortunately, it does not go as far as you want it to go.
Okay.
Give me a dexterity saving throw, please. A DC 20.
I failed that one to a 19.
Oh, unfortunate. That is, you use the sword. Before we do this, you are still going to be able to use it for 30 feet, but you go a little bit too far.
Okay.
What does it look like you losing your concentration in the middle of using this?
I think with the shattering going on, with viewing the dagger getting so close, with hearing his friends on the other side, and the shot of another disintegrate going off, he's starting to worry for how much Tom is capable of. And just for the briefest of moment, he's thinking of Rue and Veridin and not of killing Tom. And the blade cuts off halfway through the teleportation.
I would say you slice through and you see the point because you are slicing through reality and space and time. This sword is so sharp, it can cut through space and reality. You cut through as you begin to step through this rip in time. You see the place you want to go, you lose concentration, and it changes your destination into the firewall. And you step out into the firewall. You do not make your save, but you still have movement. I'm assuming you move out of the firewall. But as you land there, you take 23 fire damage.
Yeah, so I would take no damage if I succeeded. Because this is a dex saving throw, I only take half.
Okay, cool. So then you only take 11 fire damage.
Okay.
From this, as you step out into the southern circle, a cape and clothes still alight, still aflame, but you slowly put it out. And as you go to look at your sword, it is broken.
I'm gonna use the rest of my movement to get up to that chain. Okay.
Winnie is there at the chain, so maybe she can grant sneak attack on this thing. I don't know if you can sneak attack a spectral
An
chain.
object. Yeah, I'm just gonna make an attack with the broken Blackthorn and hope that it's enough.
Okay, so you run up here, and I will say, since your ally is within 5 feet, I think you can 100% add
Sneak attack?
sneak attack if you hit. So let's see if you hit.
Okay. 23.
That hits.
Okay.
You need to, at minimum, do 18 damage to this.
18 damage. Okay, so instead of the beautiful 4d6 I would have, it's back down to a d8. I rolled an 8 on my d8, an 8 on my first 2d6, and a 7 on the other. So 22.
All right. Dole, what does this look like when you destroy this chain?
I think I'm still burning, but I let that burning bring me back to that mission. In fact, I don't even think he bats away at the flames that are licking down his arm, knowing that they'll beat out themselves. He's allowing that to get him back into the center. He's zoning in his eyes on Tom. He's taking that final strike with the broken Blackthorn and hoping to God that by striking the sword back into the stone and severing one more chain, that Vigo's spirit might enter this sword once more and he can prep it, bring it back to full strength, and prepare for when Tom corporealizes. But he goes through the same process. That smoked gas, that beautiful black ichor smoke, begins to leak from Blackthorn, much shorter than it was before, and he shoves that broken hilt down into the stone, and the ethereal chain becomes real for a moment, and then pops, crackles with arcane energy and snaps in two.
And as it breaks, zoom, this arcane ball at the top, crack, 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 shatters, and all sort of goes quiet for a moment as a bunch of dust, magical dust, sort of rises up, and everything is quiet for a second as you no longer see Veridin in the air. And on the northern side of the northern circle, you see Tom, corporeal, no longer in these glass golems. You see the glass golems are all on the floor. They turned back into glass. You see the real physical Tom in the room. Old man, long white hair, long white beard, very kind eyes with a little bit of gleam of green in the back of them, with this stars, sort of dark blue robe with this white staff with a black orb in the top of it. And he looks down at where Veridin is sort of lying, and he says to you all, well, I suppose the saying goes, if you want something done right, do it yourself. The dagger appears in his hand, and he stabs himself in the chest with this white, ghostly white fire dagger, and then all of a sudden, boom! The walls explode, erupt, the ceiling flies off, and you see this whole tower, you all get pushed back. You are not damaged, but you are prone as everything sort of explodes in the room. All of these prophecy orbs are rolling all the way around. And as the sort of dust clears, there's a eerie quiet. You have not seen Tom yet, but this dust is settling. But you hear something. It sounds like a song, like as if hundreds of people are singing a very song. You've never heard this song before, but you know it. You've known this song your entire life, but you've never heard it before until now, and you know that is a song of death. And you see the wraiths around you. That is where the song is emanating from. And you look, and the sun is red, blood red. Something splits into reality. And you see coming out of it this giant, the Shadow King, that tower. The sun turns horizontal, flat, and it turns into a horned crown that sits above the Shadow King's head. And you see their arms beginning to raise up. The clouds part, and you see the stars beginning to slowly fall downwards towards their hands, and you see something is wrong. You all feel sick. You feel that the world is ending. You feel the earth beneath your feet beginning to quake and shake, and just everything is shaking. You see these wraiths, these keepers of the veil, all beginning to raise their swords at Tom, but not just at Tom, but at Veridin, but at Vetra, but at Dol, but at Winnie, but at Theo. All of these swords are raising. It seems time is up. And as they begin to strike with their blades, Veridin holds up a hand, and boom! Another new aura shoots them all back, keeping you and Tom still inside. And she holds up the hand, and she's like, I don't know how long I can hold it. You need to get that thing out of him. And she begins to stand up and holding this aura, keeping these wraiths away, which are pointing, and you hear the clashing of swords throughout the city as more wraiths are appearing, as the stars are falling, as the Shadow King is here. And as the dust clears, you see Tom with the white ethereal dagger stabbed in his chest, and there's these ribbons of black coming out of it and wrapping around his body. His eyes have completely gone black, and it seems like the black ribbons are slowly consuming or making him stronger, wrapping around him something, and there's these little white strands that are coming into the dagger from outside of this aura. And you know what that means. It is people's souls going into the dagger. And now let's go back to the next turn.
So we've all like been pushed back and kind of fallen over, and I imagine we're kind of like probably still on the floor watching a lot of this happen, just in shock. And
If the firewall is gone as well, you can see all of the walls have fallen down, and you can see out. It looks everything is wrong. Even the sky itself is screaming, while the ground and the foundations of the earth are shaking.
how far is Tom from me?
He's in the northern circle, so I guess that is 30 feet, I suppose.
Okay.
He's sort of levitating a little bit off of the ground, and as you look at Tom, you see, can't quite focus on him because there's 3 Toms around him.
Vetra looks over and just makes direct eye contact with Winnie. And still on the ground, going to get up, just grabs Winnie's hand for a moment. Nods. And then stands up and sprints towards Tom.
So how this works is basically you're going to attack, and I roll something and see if you hit a copy.
That's a dirty 20.
Okay, so then I will roll to see if you hit. You go to strike. You are going to strike true, but as a reaction, a shield comes up, and boom! You hit the shield instead.
Okay, the sword bounces off of that, and I use that momentum to spin around and slice at him again. And that is a 27.
And you slice. Your second strike comes, cracks through the shield, and hits the outline of a Tom, and it seemed to have been the real Tom.
14 points of damage.
Awesome. Is your sword magical? Oh, this is the one that you
yes,
put
it
the
is.
thing on. Okay.
Yes. And I just look at him and I say, "Come on."
As you wish. Now we move to the layer. You see the eastern slice of this pie. It is still reacting to the magic in this room because, again, all still here. And then there's just an immense magic coming from Tom right now. You see not even a flare anymore. It just seems like it's wild, and there's just sparks flying all over the place. And you see in the eastern section a sort of red sort of color takes over that eastern section. No one is there. And then in the first section, where I believe Winnie and Theo still are, you feel something. It looks almost like the look of like gas, where you can't quite see it, but it's like a little heat waves, a little bit of rainbowy color. On your turn, you can figure out what that does if you like, but nothing damages you. And that is the layer action. Then we move to Theo.
Theo would like to run up to Tom. Listen, I know why you're doing this, and I understand why you're doing this. And I want to help. My name isn't Theo. I'm not Theo. My name is Theta. I was created to be a weapon, a shade without a soul. So there's nothing that you can take from me. What I want is to take revenge on the people who have hurt me, on the people who created me and left me behind and created me out of nothing and then treated me like I was nothing. What you have done to my heart, I want to be able to do it to them.
I'm so sorry, but this is a little bit more important than you. and it's going to happen. But thank you for the reminder.
I'm going to try to touch Tom. You need to pass, or Tom needs to pass a wisdom saving throw.
He does not, but he uses legendary resistance to pass instead.
Oh, shit. Well, I'm close to Tom now. Then I will use my bardic inspiration to give Dole bardic inspiration on his next turn. And I shout out, "I'm sorry, I tried!"
You're doing great.
What did the spell look like before it was like sort of cast away?
So Theo reaches for one of the toms, almost like she's like reaching out her hand to ask him to take it and kind of like pull her into him. But if you look closely, you kind of see that same blood red black smoke swirling in her hands, and you know that she was going to try to cast Bestow Curse on him.
And he sort of like waves it away with one of his hands. He's like, much too predictable. And anything else you'd like to do on your turn?
Yeah, so Dull is going to get 7. Not quite as good as the first one, but plus 7.
I'll take it.
Winnie and Vetra, you look at this dagger. It seems like it is sort of infused with Tom's body, and it keeps sucking in more and more of these souls. And similar to the dagger reaching Veridin, it seems as if you are also on a time limit with this as well. But the magic that is gathering in this thing, Vetra, you know that if it were to be destroyed and you're all around it, you would all be killed. So taking this and putting it somewhere, you have to get this away from Tom, and you need to dispose of it somehow. And it is going to be very difficult to get out.
Just to clarify, do I think that it being destroyed affects a certain radius around it?
Yes, like an explosion.
Okay. Would I have any idea how much of a radius?
No. Two very difficult checks are going to need to be made, is what I'll say mechanically. At the end of Theo's turn, Tom looks at you, Vetra, and you see this green aura around his staff start to light up. He says, let's try this again. And I need you to give me an intelligence save.
That's a natural 20, Adam, for a 24.
Fuck. Okay, he casts this spell. Again, you start to see everyone as Tom, but you fight through it, and you see your friends around you once again. And he says, impressive.
Thanks.
And then it is actually his turn. Tom's turn.
Ooh, can I just, I don't know if he's targeting me or not, but I want him to. So instead of, like, I'll say thanks, and then I'll say, wish I could say the same for you.
Give me a persuasion or an intimidation. You need to get at least like a 25.
I got a 19.
Okay. Because he is, unfortunately, a little more strategic minded than that. He looks, he says, nice try. And he looks back at your friends. Where is everyone currently?
Theo and I are by Tom. Dole and Winnie are back in South Circle.
I'm 20 feet up.
And so is Winnie. We're both on that top
That's
platform.
right, yeah. We're both 20 feet up. Clarification, when Vetra is raging, he has disadvantage fighting anyone else.
He does.
Right?
He has disadvantage against anyone else because I hit him.
Cool.
Really? How long does that last?
That's
As long as the rage.
as long as I'm raging, yeah.
So what Tom does is he's like, on the verge of finishing something very important. And unfortunately, I cannot have you disrupting it. Tap, tap. And you see this wall of lightning surrounds all three of you in this northern section, and then he misty steps away to the western section. You see him appear on top of that floating island. So he has left you in this 20 by 20 circle of light and storms. It looks like a cloud with lightning and thunder inside of it is sort of circling around you all.
When he hit himself with the dagger, does he seem monstrous in nature, or is he still Tom?
He's still Tom. He's still Tom, but like something is happening to him. Something is changing. I'll also let you know that like when the dagger, as soon as it stabbed Tom, that is when everything went to shit with the wraiths. It seemed like they freaked out.
You're on borrowed time, Tom. And I don't plan on letting you have any moment more than you can wrestle away from us. And Winnie will outstretch her hands and try to cast Hold Person.
Nothing happens. You are in a anti-magic zone in the southern section. Unfortunately, that does expend the use of that spell.
Winnie's going to move towards the western quadrant of the room where Tom is,
Cool.
and where there's no other magical
going on.
area effects happening.
When you pass into this, you feel, you hear his divine radiance. Ah, what was that? Sort of like come back online, basically.
It was perhaps the only good thing about what was going on.
I felt as if someone was ignoring me for a little while. What happened?
I mean, you're not wrong. We have shit to do.
Have at ye!
And that's all Winnie can do.
Tom uses a legendary action and raises his staff and points it at you, Winnie. And he says, I'm very impressed, but you keep doing these things that keep preventing the world from being saved, and I cannot have that. And he casts a spell at you.
And I will do them until I draw my last breath. And she'll cast Counterspell.
Okay. So that is, you need to roll a 17.
21.
He counterspells your counterspell. What level is your counterspell?
Ooh, okay, so here is where we don't know each other's counterspell level.
Yeah, he's casting just a third, so...
Mine is a level 5, because it has to be. He would have to roll to counterspell my level 5, so he needs a DC 15 in order to successfully counterspell my spell.
Oh, okay, yeah. He got a 16. This seems to be a different spell. But yes, you actually see electricity going around the top of his this staff, and he points it at you. Neat thing about this is that if it hits one target, he can also hit 3 more. But he cannot hit Dull because Dull is in a anti-magic zone right now, so he can only hit Vetra and Theo. So he's going to roll. He hits Vetra. Ooh, he crits on Theo. Okay, so...
I use my reaction at him to throw my shield.
What does that do?
Well, it decreases the damage by 3d6, but I don't know if that works for like the whole spell or just the person I'm throwing it at.
I would say it's interesting because what it does is it branches out from the person that it first hit. So I would say it can reduce the whole spell by that amount.
Hell yeah.
I think that's really cool. So what does this look like when you first, like, you see Tom sort of raising up a little ball of lightning and then just this lightning shoots out. Winnie tries to bat it out of the way, and he redirects it around her counterspell, and it just goes to hit her. And then what do we see flying in the way, Vetra?
Yeah, I think as the staff is like aiming towards Winnie, that's when Vetra arcs back for a throw and then hesitates for just a moment as she sees the like counterspell attempt. But seeing that like be reversed again, as soon as it's reversed back towards Winnie, just launches the shield, and the shield flies and almost becomes like the same blue color as her eyes when she rages, and it goes right in front of Winnie. The lightning slams into it and kind of arcs through it to where only a little bit of the lightning ends up coming through. And as soon as that shield shatters, it appears on Vetra's arm again on the other side.
Awesome. How much does it reduce it by?
10.
10. Okay. All right. So that means, Winnie, you only take 28 damage. Vetra, you only take 28 damage. Theo, this lightning shoots through Winnie. It bounces off this shield, and it goes through the lightning storm and hits Vetra. As it goes through the lightning storm to hit you, it seems to have supercharged, and it hits you directly in the chest. Crit on you, 118 damage. For everyone at home, I have some different unconscious rules. Basically, instead of just being there and making death saving throws, when you reach 0, your movement is halved and you gain 1 level of exhaustion, but you remain conscious. Basically, on your turn, you can move and do one thing. That means 1 action, 1 bonus, 1 reaction. If you do anything more, then you gain another level of exhaustion. You still have to make death saves, and if you get hit, that is 2 failed death saves, but it just makes it so you are still up and doing things, but you're in this weird state.
Yeah, so it hits Theo just dead in the chest, right where her power word kill had been. And if that had been there, that's all she wrote for Theo. But thankfully, because of Winnie, her heart was healed and she was well above even how good she's used to feeling. So when she takes this bolt straight in the chest, she drops like a sack of bricks and hits the ground painfully and just calls out, just kind of agonizing. But she cuts it off because she realizes that she's still alive and she still has at least a little bit of a fighting chance.
I would say your normally black and white hair goes all white. And you're a little staticky all over your body with this huge black mark of burn on the front side of you and the back side of you where the lightning escaped. I believe that was just a legendary action. Let's say for role-playing purposes, you can see through the wall of storms. Dull, everyone, you see Theo, boom, just get laid flat out. They look very, very bad. They are in need of help.
Does Dull have an awareness of the dagger in the same way that Vetra does? Does Dull know it's going to explode if he takes it out now?
You know dagger is bad. That's what you
Yeah. He sees that Theo falls to the ground, her hair a shock of white. She's nearly cast into death, and immediately that word comes back into his mind. The sword begins to speak even past this anti-magic field, even in this memory. He sprints out of that anti-magic field in the direction of Tom, and the second that he gets out of it, he is going to try and summon the sword back into existence here.
Hell yeah. Give me that wisdom check.
I'm going to use my bardic inspiration given to me by Theo to make myself have a 21 total.
All right, and the blade shoots out. A new blade anew as little bits of it fall out. This all black blade, you just sort of hear it, just sort of hungering for someone. And what do you do?
Here is my thinking. Would the use of teleportation award me advantage and sneak attack with an understanding that Tom couldn't see me materializing out of the air coming.
That's fucking cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I would say you can do, since you're like jumping and then attacking, I would say, yeah, I don't even think you have to roll for stealth, because honestly, you could just teleport above him. You have height advantage as you're falling down, so you could just have that sort of thing. You can do that.
Okay. Dull just ceases to be the second that he steps out. The sword comes to an existence, and then he's gone. He falls maybe 15 feet above Tom's head, with the blade pierced down, and he is going immediately for the dagger. He wants to break into the center, not knowing what could happen with the destruction of such. The blade is at full, and that means a few things.
So what this means is, first I'm going to roll a d20 to see if you hit one of his copies.
Okay. A 31.
That definitely hits.
If I'm attacking an object with the sword, it's max damage if I hit.
Oh, that is correct, sir.
79 total damage.
I rolled a 1 on the mirror image thing, so that means this is the real Tom.
Not saying it in enough time to stop it, but seeing Dull swinging towards, like, aiming at this dagger, Vetra just yells, "Dull, no!"
As you slice through this dagger, sort of as soon as both of them hit, it's like, yeah, it looks like they both cannot be in the same space at the same time. Like they're made of similar or different things, like two magnets reaching, and slices through this dagger, and it like opens it in twine, and you see Tom look down, just horrified and at what is happening right now, and you see the little spirit wisps that were going into the dagger stop, and they sort of go back, and you see him look terrified. You see Varian turn around and be like, "What the hell?" And you have basically you can hear it sort of charging up, getting ready to explode, but you have one round left to do this. When it gets back to at the end, Dull, at the end of your next turn, this thing will explode.
Oh my god.
Tom looks down and he says, "What have you done?"
I did what I promised.
What? No, this is not. You see there's green behind his eyes. It goes away, and then he looks like he just woke up. What's happened? And he looks down at the dagger like he's seeing it for the first time. That is the end of your turn, Dull.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
It is Vetra's turn.
Vetra is staring up in shock at this, and then looks to Winnie and says, "What do we do?"
We get it somewhere else. I think we take care of Theo if you can.
Trusting Winnie completely, I will run to Theo. And do I have any health potions in my pocket?
Oh yes, we were meant to discuss this. I'm gonna have each of you roll a luck check, and if you do, then you will have one. Did anyone succeed?
I got a 19.
Okay, so you have one. You have a greater healing potion, which is 4d4 plus 4. I just do max on that. That's a 20 health.
All right, Theo.
Regained if you use it. That'll be a bonus action to give that to the.
Yeah, and this newfound silence, as there's no, God
damn.
lair things happening right now. There's just this new silence as I'm just staring up at Dull and hearing Tom say, "What have you done?" and kind of thinking the same thing, but hearing Winnie's confidence, I turn, I run, and I slide to Theo, already having the potion out of my pocket, pop it open, bring her head up and I just feed Theo this health potion. Theo, you heal 20 points. And just kind of holding them there, I just look over at Winnie. And that is my turn. Since that was a bonus action, can I give Winnie the help action?
Whatever she decides to do, if your help makes sense, then yes.
Okay.
You see Tom sort of in a panic at this. You see him cast a spell, Misty steps to the eastern section away. He just looks very confused right now. That was his only legendary left. But he does something seems different.
I will shout out, I can save Dull if the two of you can save yourselves.
Just like we practiced. I can get Vetra.
What's the plan? Are we putting this thing somewhere? It's unstable. It's moving.
Tom will get what he deserves.
What do you want me to do? I'm still holding the fucking thing.
Go kiss her.
Okay, that I can do.
I will remind everyone that outside of Veridon's bubble, all of the wraiths are killing everyone. It seems like this is the only safe place, is inside of this bubble. For now.
Dull, you looking from between Theo to Winnie, you get the impression that they made some kind of pact or agreement out in the cemetery when they healed Theo's heart, that if things got very, very bad, that the two of them would get you and Vetra out at all costs, doing the same thing together. But you don't know what that is or what that means. This is just kind of the conversation that you're hearing. But you have no idea the context or what it is Theo would be planning. And when she hears that, Winnie is shouted, "Go kiss Theo," like Theo puts her arms out to you, like it's the last time that you are ever going to see each other, because it could be.
I think that the Dull measures between the four of them while they still have time and goes, "We can still do this."
It's going to explode.
No, but look at their eyes. I know what that means. We can still do this.
Dull, make this part easy for me. Just kiss me.
Please do that.
I would
Okay.
Misty step using the sword to get over there and, throw my arms around her like it's the very last time and give them every part of me that I can while those stars fall.
As you kiss Theo, she is going to cast life transference onto you. And she is going to sacrifice her health as much as she can to ensure that you can survive the explosion that is about to happen. And as you kiss her, it's different than every other time you have ever kissed her. She isn't cold, but she is sad. She is crying, and she clings to you and she holds you as tightly as she possibly can, because she knows that this might be the last time.
You get 76 extra health, Dull.
Okay.
And Theo, you sort of drop to your knees, having another level of exhaustion.
I mean, there's no more hair that can possibly turn white, so as Theo crumples again for the second time in as many minutes, she looks the way she did when she first met everyone, which was frail and feeble and physically very, very weak, very pale, and she doesn't cry out this time.
Winnie, looking at Tom, she's just called him a coward. Toss me the dagger.
It is still embedded in his chest, but it has been cut in half. Normally, this would be a DC 30 to take out. The DC has been lowered a lot. He's going to try to remove it from his chest.
Would I
Well,
have any idea if Tom has the ability to put things in other dimensions? Like, I know he's put himself into another dimension with the mirror, but would I have any idea if he can do that?
probably, but he also looks very weak right now, so
But he
you're not
doesn't-
quite sure.
He also looks more like himself rather than the green in his eyes, so I think
Yes.
Petra, last-ditch effort, just says, you can still save this. You can save us.
If you
ooh.
can't pull it out of your own chest, then send yourself somewhere where this will all be worth it when it explodes.
He sort of looks lost and is trying to think. It doesn't seem like he's hearing you. He's going to try to take this thing out of his chest. He's a +0. He needs to get at least a 20. Pull it out. He got a 3. And you see him try to... and he's unable to pull it out, and he's sort of standing there. And it looks like he knows what's going to happen. And he's just sort of looking around panicked. Next turn is Winnie.
Winnie runs towards Tom, but as she does so, she looks towards Vetra. If I don't make it back, go home for me. Say hi to my moms. Give them a hug.
You're gonna make it back. And Vetra readies her shield.
And as Winnie is running towards Tom, golden threads begin to appear behind him in a large rectangle, large enough for her and for Tom to step through. Winnie is casting Dimension Door, and it opens up this window. And as it opens up, the golden threads waver for a moment, and we see the sky. And we see a point up above that's 500 feet up and a little bit over. And as Winnie runs, she looks away from Vetra finally. She looks at Tom and just says, "Come with me. Let's make this right together."
What are you wanting to do? Do you want to go through with him? Do you want to push him through? What are you wanting to do?
If Tom allows, Winnie is trying to kind of barrel both of them through, but the spell only allows a willing creature to come with you. So Tom has to want to go through the portal.
Okay. I say Tom, you can see like half of Tom's face, and you see him sort of looking at you, and he's like, "You must not let the fear take hold of you. The prophecy will happen. You must be better. Or I could make it happen now." And he looks at you, and the other eye has the green sort of cloud behind him. He takes a held action, and he's going to cast a spell at you. I'd like you to make a dex save. It is DC 20.
It's only a 17.
Since it hits, everyone else needs to give me a dex save.
I'm at 24.
Okay.
I'm at 12.
I got a natural 20 for 22.
I think with your natural 20, you don't take any.
Can I take
Vetra?
Winnie's?
Vetra, describe to me how you are taking Winnie's damage.
If I can, like, move cinematically, then I literally just dive. I just move in front. If I cannot move, then I throw my shield.
I would say the shield probably makes a little bit more sense. since you're not next to her, but you indeed throw your shield. Vetra, you take 44 lightning damage. Theo, you also take 44. You are unconscious though, so that is just 2 failed death saving throws. Dull, I believe you succeeded.
Yeah.
So that is half, so that is 22 lightning damage to you. But I think with the rogue feature, I think you just take none.
Yeah.
With that, so you take none. As you see Tom, not necessarily full in control or not, sort of touches the staff, or like is pushing the staff towards Winnie, and Vetra, your shield, boom, comes right in the way, and it sort of electrifies the shield, and it engulfs you, Vetra, in electricity, and it also arcs off, missing Doll and slamming Theo to the ground, sort of embedding her into the ground a little bit more. Winnie, what would you like to do with the rest of your turn?
After Tom casts this spell, is there any part of him that's willing to go? Because that's what Winnie wants. Winnie will step through with him if she has to. But she needs him to go.
Tom looks at you, and he looks at the other 3 heroes, and you see a sense of sort of like surprise but sadness on his face, and all of these strings of the story sort of connect. He was very good friends, just like you all were. He was good friends with the heroes. They won the war, and then they drifted apart. Tom was alone. When the friends could have reached out to each other, they could have helped each other. Instead, alone, he descended into madness. All they had to do to have his friends there. Maybe it might not have gone down this path. You see a lonely man. All of these heroes separated by the needs of the world, by their own importance, by just being the first heroes and just making all of the mistakes first and having to learn from them. You see someone who made the worst mistake of all, secluding himself.
Winnie staggers backwards as the lightning recoils off of the shield that Vetra threw. And I think in that moment, she takes stock of Tom's face, and all of these memories flash back through her mind. And she takes that step back forward. She reaches out and puts a gentle hand on Tom. K.o.N said he was sorry he left you alone. I'm sorry that you had to endure being alone, and if it's what it takes to finish this the right way, I'll go with you through that door. So you don't have to be alone anymore.
I think hearing that, Vetra is shouting, Tom, no, don't let her leave me alone, okay? You're powerful enough. Don't take her with you.
I'm going to roll a luck check.
Who?
I'm going to roll it.
Oh, okay.
Actually, you know what? Winnie or Vetra, would you like to roll this luck check? Vetra, would you like to roll this luck check, please? I don't want the responsibility.
17. I rolled a 17.
See Tom, he looks at you. There's one green in the back of his eyes. It slowly fades, and he says, "Oh dear. I believe I've... No, I think I can do this on my own. Don't let what happened to us happen to you. He steps through the door. I would say you close the dimension door. You see from far up above you, you said 500 feet, about 160 damage, necrotic. As you see, probably more. And you see this explosion in the air, high above this tower. And you just see these little white wisps flying away, and everything seems to go quiet, and it feels as if you're done. But you're not done. As you look around, and you see the wraiths still attacking everyone. You see the feet, you feel the earth beneath your feet still shaking, and actually parts of the room you're in start to fall beneath your feet around you all, and you see the stars are continuing to fall. The Shadow King is still holding up their arms. The stars are falling, and you see something coming from the horizon. This is a coastal city. You see a giant wave getting closer and closer. The rumbling, it is so loud here. But then you hear Veridin still holding up this barrier. She reaches her hand towards all of you. She says, "Take my hand! I think I have a way out of this."
I put Theo on my back, and I run for Veridin.
Okay, you need to give me an athletics check. It's going to be pretty low, though. It is, let's just say a 12.
A 16.
Okay, so you lift up Theo. You see that she's doing very, very badly. Theo, what do you look like right now? You have 2 failed death saves. If you fail one more time, you are gone right now.
Theo has always kind of belonged more to death than to life. And as you look at her, this less person, less demon, she's almost blurry. Like there's a part of her that's kind of already slipped behind that veil between life and death. And even though she's still clinging to life, it is so feeble. And Dull, as you're holding her on your back, you feel her heart beating, but it is so subtle, so small, almost like that of a baby bird. And you can feel the hiccup in her heart as you hold her and you run for Veridin.
It's all right, Theo. It's all right. They said you were going to make a decision. We know what you were going to pick. You have to keep picking that. You have to keep picking life. You can't leave me like this. You can't leave me.
And then we move to Vetra's turn.
Seeing Winnie looking like she's going to start towards Veridin, I will head towards Veridin. And I'm just looking at the destruction that's happening around. I'm hearing everything. And I look at Veridin and I say, "You can get us out, but can you fix this?"
She looks at you. She doesn't say anything. But she looks very sad.
I stop a moment. I look at Vetra. There's pieces left behind.
I can fix this. She looks over at the Shadow King, and she looks back at you all. but I won't be coming back. Grab my hand now.
I grab her hand and I hold my hand out for Winnie. I think making it over, like reaching a hand out for Winnie, looking and seeing Dole just carrying Theo over. There's the moment where I'm like, I grab onto Theo's face and I'm just trying to, I know how to patch like battle wounds. I don't know what to do with this. And there's just this moment of not knowing what to do. And I think I see the desperation in Dole's eyes.
She's so sick. I've never seen her like this. It can't end like this. It can't go like this. She was trying to save me.
I put a hand on Dole's face. I got this. And then I just look back to Theo and I just reach a hand back and just one smack just to see her eyes flutter. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's okay. She's okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
What the fuck are you doing?
I'd say, Theo, you are hearing this song that the Keepers of the Veil are singing, and everything, what Dole was saying, what everyone was saying, was becoming so muffled, and you were focusing so much on this song because it felt so comfortable. And the pain would just go away if you just listened to it more. And then smack! The song goes away, and you see Vetra in front of you, and it hurts, but you are at 0. You are no longer having to
them. What were you thinking? You just hit them.
And then now that I've seen eyes flutter, I'm just holding my hand out for Winnie again. I'm like, come on.
Then it is Theo's turn. Theo, you're just on the back of Dole. You've just been slapped. Is there anything else you'd like to do? You don't have to because you're already there.
Am I dead?
That worked?
I told you.
God. You're back. You're alive. You're better. You're here. We're about to leave. We're going to make it. I told you we could make it.
Okay, just don't. Oh God, my head. Don't let Vetra fucking hit me again.
I swear, we will fight her after this. Just stay with us.
At least she didn't use the shield.
And Winnie runs from the platform where she was with Tom, one hand going to grab Vetra's, the other touching Veridin. But the hand that touches Vetra, as Vetra is tending to Theo, there's this warm golden light. And then there's these threads that connect from Winnie to Theo, and from Vetra to Theo, and then from Dole to Theo. And Theo will heal for 8 points, putting her back in the black. You know, I always thought it was some destitute god of war or something that picked me when I was young, but it was community. It was working together. It was this. This is what it's always been.
And I would say you see Veridin, though she looks very scared, a little bit of a smile at that. And she looks at all of you, and you see the Shadow King getting larger and larger, and the sea rushing towards everyone, and you feel everything beginning beneath you shaking, and you see the wraiths as Veridin drops this aura, and you see the wraiths racing towards blinding light. You open your eyes. You're all on the floor. Where are you? Everything is white. You don't feel hurt anymore. You still have the wounds, but it feels numb here. And you see Veridin standing in this space, facing away from you. And she turns around. And she smiled. She's smiling. Well, it seems like you all did it. Congratulations. Stopped Tom. And I was able to stop the Shadow King. We're safe where we are now. But only temporarily. I can send the keepers back to where they come from. But I will not be able to come back. Using all of my magic. But I do have a little bit left over. What I'm saying is, you can change things. I can give you one. We cannot change something that has already been done. What has happened has happened. I'm giving you a wish. But you'll have to do something for me. You see, her eyes are wet with tears.
We can take care of Rue.
She closes her eyes.
You don't have to ask for that, so ask for something else. Ask for anything else, because that thing's already taken care of.
That's all I care about. As long as she is safe, I have done my job. The world, now that rests in your all hands now. So, don't have much time. We do have a little. And she sort of walks away, giving you all time.
Dull moves in and just tackles all of them deep into this huge hug about their shoulders, trying to encapsulate even Winnie and all of the armor into the fold and just hold them for a second and grip, probably harder than anyone would like, just to affirm that each of them is alive and that they're safe somehow after all of that.
I think for the first time ever since you've known Vetra, she drops her shield and sword onto the ground, like onto the floor, and just pulls all of you into her.
I mean, we did it. We did it. We're all still here. I knew we would, but we're all still here.
We get our tomorrow, but we have one more thing to figure out. I guess. Theo, your heart's still ticking?
Yeah, I think so.
Good. And Winnie will reach out, squeezing the group. I have an idea, but she looks over towards Faradin. Are the keepers still out there? Are they still hungry? Are they still looking for something, or have they been satisfied?
She has a sort of faraway look, and she looks back at you. After we leave here, they will go back to where they belong.
Okay.
The longer we stay here, do they reap more souls the longer we stay here? Or do we have all the time that we need?
Nemeria is lost.
Is saving it within the bounds of this wish
She shakes
you
her
can
head no.
give.
What is done is done.
But what is lost can be restored. We can put the stars back.
She
Perhaps we
closes her
could put
eyes.
the river back.
Fortunately, that's what Tom was trying to do, and that's not in my power.
Theo will not quite approach Veridon. There's still a distance, a chasm between the two of them. But Theo looks at this woman who looks so much like she does, and Theo says, Nemeria has fallen, but where is Rue?
She's safe. I will. I can give you directions. She just waves her hand, and you all just know where she is. She is somewhere safe, but you can go and find her.
Dolvetra, Theo, you have any? I have one idea, but
I have one as well, but I'm afraid it may cause another little cave moment, and I can't go another 2 years without us talking to each other, so I'm hesitant to say it out loud.
you're in luck because you're spending time with me tomorrow and the day after that. Maybe Theo gets the third day. We'll see. So say it.
We all just tried to die for each other, so how about we just spit it out?
Listen, you all remember after maybe our greatest defeat, we went back to the castle and we fought over whether we should continue. We talked about whether it was time to hang up our swords and watch the stars fall. And I told you that I felt that for the first time in my life that I had earned that we had earned something of rest. And we could do something like give to the future of Nemeria, or we could give ourselves supreme judicial power, or restore some of the systems that put this into place for the first round of heroes, or we could do something that would allow us time to sit, to read, to rest, to talk, to argue, to be around each other. And it is going to sound supremely selfish, and I think that's why I like it. I think that we've earned it.
You said you have magic left. A little bit, enough for a wish. What if we wished for a space, a realm, I don't care, as a hamlet where we could be happy and forget all of the terrible things that the heroes put us through. We did our piece. We tried our best.
You know what, though? I think we have that. The damnedest thing is I can't think of a reason for this goddamn wish, because the second that this is over, we'll go back to Winnie's home and we'll build a life there. What do I want? I've spent so long waiting for that knifed edge to go through that old fuck, and now, God, what could I ask of you? What could I dream to think that I have enough hubris to know? What to do? Where to go? I hope you have something.
I mean, Vetra, you do have, I think.
Vetra is just shaking her head and kind of motions to Dole to kind of agree with him and just says, I go where you go. That's all I need.
Veridon, there's people left, right? there's Nemeria has fallen, but there's still a Nemeria that stands, right?
No.
Nobody's left. There's no one.
She moves her hands, and you briefly see a sort of like sky view of Nemeria. It is a landmass, almost like a peninsula that connects to a lower kingdom. Nemeria, like Atlantis, is sunk. Giant tidal wave has gone over it. The earth has crumbled beneath it. Those that left the battle early might have escaped, but it seems that the stars are no longer going to fall. The wraiths are going to return home. The rest of the world seems safe.
It sounds like the city of Thanes has been wiped off the map. Is there still a Tormorgain? Is there still
Yes,
an Edoras?
there's the 4 kingdoms. It is now the 3 kingdoms.
Winnie studies that map and just nods and then looks to the other 3. I mean, maybe if Dole, what you want is time, and Theo, what you want is peace, and Vetra, what you want is to be able to spend it all together. I think the thing I want is hope. Maybe the people who are left, right? The people of the 3 fucking kingdoms. They could look at this day and be terrified of what has happened. A whole area is just gone. People are gone. That is terrifying, but in that there's hope. Maybe the thing we wish for is that everyone, including ourselves, knows that there is a tomorrow, and that tomorrow is worth fighting for, and that the next one and the next one will be there, and that there's always someone looking over your shoulder. I don't know.
Vetra grabs Winnie's hand, nods. That's a pretty good wish.
Give them hope. Give them love. Make them feel what we're feeling now.
Yeah.
And let it last.
She smiles. The last is, I'll try for as long as I can. Right. I suppose it's time. She hates broccoli, so just and she can't sleep without little light, so you'll be better than we were.
We'll try.
She smiles.
At the very least, we can raise Rube to be better than all of us.
I wish I were able to see it. And she raises her hand and snaps. You all wake up again, looking up at the stars. See the stars in the sky. You feel grass beneath you. You're on a hill. And you see the stars twinkling exactly where they should be, exactly where they have been, and where they will remain to be. Then some light comes up, and you see the sun is rising, the normal sun. As you sit up, you see the little village of Almhearth. As you are sitting on a green hill, and you do not see any of the toxic magic. It is gone. It is gone everywhere. This is a nice, quaint, hilly grasslands village. And you see a farmer getting up as the sun has just risen. You see the farmer getting up, looking like he's walking over to get to the sheep, hear the sheep bleating. He looks up at the hill, has a strange look at you all, and just sort of dismisses it and goes about his way. You see people slowly starting to wake up. Blacksmith starting the fire, the smithery, and you smell the oven starting to turn on in the bakery. It's people, no idea what has happened. They've been living their life and they continue to live their life happy. You see everyone that comes outside feels a little more skip in their step, seems a little bit brighter. You see a couple talking and you hear them say, I don't know, I just looking a good day. I don't know. I think I'm gonna build an extension to that barn. And you hear them just talking about that, and kids starting to leave houses and running around and playing. And I'd say on the other side of the hill, you see a new building. And it looks strange and strangely familiar. You see South Law Manor. It's there. It looks very oddly placed in the middle of this hill, and you see a couple of farmers standing there, sort of scratching their heads, being like, "What the hell?" Just sort of like pointing up at it, and we see this, and then we jump forward.
South Maw Manor, appearing just outside of Almhearth, a little town on the edge of nowhere where there's maybe 100 sheep for every one person, and a very wonderful chandlery. It's strange, and it takes some doing, but Winnie gets the people there accustomed to this idea that there are these things called the Knights of Nemeria, which is news to Almhearth. They weren't getting any news prior to now. They've had no idea what's going on in the world prior to this moment. Winnie hugs her moms, introduces them to Vetra, and then begins her work. Perhaps the most important thing she does is she begins the years-long process of casting Teleportation Circle at South Maw Manor, and then in the Falks, and then in Tor Morgaine, and then in the other places where Theo and Dole and Vetra find important to their lives, so that each one of us can go and do what matters to us personally, but also so that it is easy for us to come back to South Maw Manor whenever we want, so we never have to fall apart.
I'd say, also entering into the manor, Mortimer is not there anymore. But I would say a new sort of spirit is there. Perhaps it could be someone that did not make it out. Who would you like it to be?
So we know Lockwood made it out, right?
Yes.
He left. We know Bisk made it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
One person that did not make it out was Dylan.
It's Dylan.
It's gotta be Dylan.
Do we
All
do
right.
this to ourselves? Is our new steward with incredible magical power, Dylan?
He was so
ghosts?
brave. He was so brave.
Gotta be.
Okay.
It's gotta be Dylan. Dylan, ghosts' primary weakness is if you don't look at them, Dylan.
Poor Theo. Oh my.
Wait, is Theo okay with that?
She's incredibly not okay with that, but she never says it out loud. She is deeply, viscerally uncomfortable.
I mean, this is sort of new to me, being a ghost and all that. But I mean, it's a pretty sweet gig, I gotta say. So you're helping me with all those teleportation circles, then? Right.
Yeah, Theo, as he says this, will turn to one of the others. Maybe it's Vetra, because I think that's funniest. Turns to Vetra and says, It's been like 2 years, 3 years since everything, and does he still not know that I'm with Doll? He's not figured that out yet.
You
Is he
know,
really that fucking stupid?
yeah, yes.
Half the time, I'm pretty sure he does not realize that he is a ghost bound to the house.
I'd say we see a little sort of montage of him handing you things, Theo. He's be like, I'm not flirting with you, but here you go. You know, here's this. You asked for this there, miss. So I just want to let you know. You know, I'm
Yeah.
taken. I am ethereal.
Yeah,
but
you
I do
probably
still
shouldn't.
have feelings, so I want
Yeah,
to.
I don't need you to be
you.
corporal. I'm not interested in your body. And if
Oh,
you try
no,
to
no,
flirt with
no,
me, Doll
no.
will
I
probably
think
kill you.
you've got it turned around, and
And I think it takes a couple of decades for this to fully come to fruition. But as other magic users are not discovered, but kind of come into them themselves, there's a magical conservatory that comes up in Almhurst, the former keep, where that could have been Winnie's. Lord Chandler now is her official title, but she could care less. The keep gets converted into a magical conservatory where people who want to learn of magic, who want to learn of the past and understand the ways that the heroes and the ways that the Knights of Nemeria went wrong, but also the ways that we did right, and also how to forge their own path and to be strong and do good. That's what becomes of Almhurst. And Dylan's probably a favorite of the students here. And I think that's it.
For Doll, I think that he falls right back into place, especially now that the manor is here. It's almost even more at home for him, because that was one thing he thought he was going to miss. He takes back his old office. He starts to run things as routine as he used to, and goes back headfirst into the Knights of Nemeria, trying to continue into the next generation, until about a year in, he starts to get bored, restless. Him and Theo are doing so well. They've taken up to living in a house they've built off of the manor's cemetery and running the grounds there. They're abundantly happy, and because of that, Dell has never really been happy for any stint of his life longer than a few weeks. So he becomes incredibly cabin fevered, and one day takes away the captain of the guard, who eventually we became, we forged into a Knight of Nemeria, and escorts him into his office one day and basically gives him the keys and says, look, I've been doing this a while. I think that my run has been short but good, and I think that eventually things are going to ramp up again. And I think it's time for new management. I have been doing this for a while, and I think that we've for too long been keeping what makes a hero locked behind a set of parameters that not everyone meets, and I think it's time that someone else made it.
All right, there's a lot. What should we do? Do we have code or something?
Well, listen, that's all up to you. It's a hell of a job, and let me tell you that most people will think it completely thankless. At times, you will be blamed for absolutely everything under the sun, and I really do wish the best for you. The most important bit, something we've been doing recently, is you've got to keep, well, every superpowered person on this entire world in check, and meeting weekly, if not bi-weekly, here at the manor. So if you could make sure that happens, I'm technically a part of that group. So hey, maybe we'll see each other.
Okay.
Listen, this is gonna go great. You're gonna love it. You're gonna last longer than I did.
Sure.
Okay. And I think he leaves for time being, and goes full head into like domestic living with Theo, and then eventually becomes restless again and tries a hand at local politics within Elmhurst. Now, the nature of that being that there has to be a representative of those under the Lord who speaks directly for their causes to the Lord. And I think that it becomes a democratic election, most likely under Lord Chandler, unless Lord Chandler has different thoughts over there. And Dull takes the election all too seriously, far more seriously than he ever should. There is no one running against him, and only about a third of the population actually vote, and they are not even sure what they're voting for.
You also have to explain to them what voting is.
Exactly, yeah. And Dull takes that over, and it becomes quickly what it was so long ago, back when the world was in crisis, of Dull and Winnie constantly in the same room. Only the crises have become on such a small level that we're arguing over sheep and where to put them more often than we are ever arguing over something that matters. And Dull creates more issues to solve than he ever has issues to solve. And that sustains him for a while, until I think he comes to Winnie late at night. The candles are still burning in the Lord's chambers, and he framed this as an official meeting. But truthfully, he comes into the room, he spins the guest chair around, and he sits with its back to his chest, and he, for the longest time, doesn't even speak. He's just sort of looking at Winnie, tapping his fingers against his chin.
What is it this time?
Do you like living here?
Every day.
It's nice, right? The whole peace thing, it was a good idea.
I'm sorry, what are you suggesting, Dole? You get into this kind of mood and it does worry me a little bit.
Winnie, I tried the Knights of Nemeria thing, and I pushed that to every person I could, to everything that I could, and it became something real. And then I tried running this with you, and Elmhurst is in a better place than it's ever been. Don't you agree?
It is. I can't deny it.
I can't either. And it's starting to eat at me. There's something we haven't done yet. And I don't know whether that's you and me or just me, but something I thought I'd bring to my Lord before I do anything else.
I think I just have one request
Sure.
of you.
Okay.
Wherever you go, and whatever shit you're about to get up to, take this. And Winnie will rifle through her desk. At this point in time, she's kind of become the chancellor of the magical academy. She's wearing these heavy robes of gold and white and silver. And she pushes to Dole, I think, a scroll of teleport. Just come back whenever you're done.
Of course. We have bi-weekly meetings to attend, and I'm not abandoning my post or anything. Listen, there was a nation that left us 2 years ago. One that we were a part of, one that we still wear the name of, like we're carrying corpses. There was a whole story of people that died there because we tried to do the right thing, and we did. And I don't think it's right to let them die like that. I think it's time to bring them back. And I think that he goes into a rather well-articulated plan that he's been working on in secret for months with Winnie, of which he calls the New Nemerian Society. And it is a plan to basically unearth the ruins of old Nemeria and to go across the world looking for refugees of the great battle, of the fall of the tower, and to repopulate the nation and try and bring about a name for the refugees who were lost. And he posits this as this very large, almost pilgrimage he plans on working for himself in his time in between.
You know, I've got your back in this.
You always have. It's frustrating how much I just know you've already got it covered. And I've always loved that about you.
It's easy when you're 2 steps beside me. Not behind, not in front, just in the same place, just a little bit offset.
Offset. And I think he leaves the room. I think a lot of that year is spent speaking with the Falks, with Tor Morgaine, with all sorts of locations about sending aids, supplies, people, divers, watered equipment, archaeologists, everything across the world to see what we
I'd
can
say
unearth.
you find most help with the King of Edoras, which is Kanan's son, who runs that. But you do find help in the other kingdoms as well, but I would say the most with them.
And I think that at one point he would approach Theo about going and rectifying a mistake he had to make with Vigo so many years ago. And I do think part of their time is spent trying to cure his condition. And that is part of the pilgrimage, as he puts it. But I think finally it's just living out his days with Theo and with Rue. There was so much time with Rue, so much happiness and joy, and he becomes a parent he never thought of himself as being. He is not cruel or unkind. There's no level of the Falks in the way that he loves Rue. It is pure in a way that he knows only from loving these 3 people. And everything that he's been taught about being a Knight of Nemeria is what is made into Rue, and not anything else. And I just think that there are plenty of days sat by the gravestones, walking with Theo as Theo speaks on each of the marked and unmarked graves that line this now twice the size cemetery that they call home. And there is peace and a lot of love.
Theo, over the years, slips into this sort of comfort of peace much more easily than anyone could have expected, almost, that all of the years of being restless and moving cave to cave and place to place, never having any one spot to put down roots or to call home. She was so busy digging in the earth, she never could put down her own roots. That having that small cottage on the edge of the graveyard and the community of Winnie's making, built by her magic and her love, that it gives Theo something that is very sustaining, that she has never had before, never experienced before. And so even though she goes with Dull on these long pilgrimages, these long journeys to find more bones, to find refugees, to bring them home, to find them a place, it's always that little cottage, that that she returns to, that brings her a tremendous amount of joy that she didn't even quite realize was possible. And as Rue gets bigger and they spend more time together, she feels less of a need, less of a desire to roam and to keep moving, because she has found a place where she is comfortable and where she is happy. And as time goes on, there are fewer and fewer bones that have stories that need to be told. And even when they do call out to her and they need to be found, it's sometimes weeks first, then months, and eventually into years before she feels the need to travel so much, again, for anything other than pleasure, for enjoyment. And she teaches Rue the name of every gravestone, and the ones that don't have names, she lets Rue name them so that they know, wherever they are, wherever they went, that at least a couple of people are remembering them and loving them. And the last thing that we see of Theo is her at the edge of that graveyard, at the edge of that hill, picking up Rue, holding her against her hip, and turning around and laughing and smiling as Theo and Rue both wave to Doll.
Vetra almost immediately retires from knighthood. Like, it takes a couple days, but it's pretty quick that she decides she's done. And she gets really comfortable in whatever place Winnie is at, setting these circles. She takes up positions in training warriors, just like she had been trained in Tor Morgaine. A lot of the same practices, a lot of the same fighting styles. But even in training, she doesn't pick up a real sword. And she's sure to, at least for the first couple years, she meets with Dol at least. Maybe it started like once a week, maybe it kind of turned into a once a month. But she makes sure that her and Dol share a drink pretty consistently. And for those first couple years, she makes sure that her and Theo have little walks just to kind of remind them of the little trips they would take in that 2-year time span where nobody was talking. Little walks. But this time, all of these situations involve talking. There is laughter. There is happiness. There are stories being told of, oh my gosh, I can't believe you missed this. Here is what happened. These fucking sheep. Like, stories everywhere. And genuine smiles and happiness. And I think for the first little while that Vetra is not a knight. She tries desperately to learn to make candles. And is terrible at it. But loves every second of it. The ugliest, the worst candles you've ever seen in your life. The wicks don't work, nothing. Everything is awful. But she loves it. And we see a ruin, and we're not really sure what we're looking at first. It's just a dilapidated old building, stone and old wood. The wood is rotting and the stone is crumbling away. And we hear 2 sets of footsteps. And we see Vetra and Winnie walking in to look at this ruin, and Vetra is now spinning the ring that Winnie had given her on her finger, just absentmindedly. looking at this ruin and seeing that it looks just the same as it did when Winnie and Vetra first met. And she just says, it looks the same somehow. Like nothing has changed. And just looks over at Winnie.
Winnie squeezes Vetra's hand, stops, and then turns to place a hand on Vetra's cheek, reaching up and getting a bit on her tiptoes to be able to meet Vetra's eyeline. So do you. Same bright eyes, same beautiful smile, same wicked grin.
Okay, but at least we're not trying to kill each other this time.
I mean, we haven't sparred in a while. We could try.
I'm so out of practice. All I've been doing is teaching.
I think you'd still give me a run for my money.
Being out and about, Vetra probably has her sword, but still just kind of looks at it like it's some faraway item that she hasn't used in a while, and she just kind of like touches it. And when we fought here the first time, you know how I said that before every battle you have to know your odds?
I remember it.
I saw your footing and I knew my odds, and then I saw those threads. I saw the magic, and everything that I thought I knew went completely out the window, and I had absolutely no idea what you were capable of. And let me be clear, I still don't know what you're capable of, and you still surprise me literally every single day. But I know with 100% certainty that my odds are always in my favor when I'm at your side.
And I look up at you, and I know that I'm capable of so much more, and that you are able to do so much more, because it's not just you at my side. It's me at yours. It's us. Till the very end. May that be a long time from now.
A long time. I would still watch the stars fall with you if you asked me to, you know.
I do.
I'm so proud of you and everything that you have accomplished, and I just motion outward like that means anything. But I'm like motioning behind us where we came from, and I know I talk a lot for someone who's not really good with words, but what I'm trying to say is I love you, Winnie Chandler.
Vetra Bykander. Kiss me.
And then I think this there's this swords colliding kind of as they move together, kind of having almost pulled the swords out, and there's just this kiss that Vetra has been waiting years for. And this isn't the first one, but everyone she's been waiting years for.
The last scene that we see is with everybody gathered at some point, maybe 3 years or so after all of these events. And I would say they're gathered in Almhearth as the new Knights of Nemeria have been set up, and the Wizard College is on its way to going farther, and the new Nemeria Society, and Rue is there, and everyone. And what sort of event are they at? Is it a double wedding?
Oh.
So, no, we need a whole other session for a double wedding. Are you kidding? Do you know us?
Yeah, that's our future one shot, right? Let me float this to you guys. It is the anniversary of our last big party, of the ghost party.
I love that.
We're throwing another one. We've opened up the manor again. The streets are open to Elmhurst. Everyone is invited in the city.
There's
and
chicken and dessert chicken.
It's 3-course chicken dinner, baby.
The locals are really into it. One of the biggest traditions in Almhearth is all of the farmers bring their best sheep, and then they carve designs or they shave designs into the wool of the
That's
sheep on one side. And like the farmer with the sheep who has the best design, you know, they win feed or a prize or something. So there's this parade of sheep with different intricate and whimsical designs just paraded through this party that we're having.
Bisk is the celebrity judge in the sheep contest. Just let it be known.
You just hear some wild sort of things, and he keeps thinking that everyone is trying to get one over on him. But eventually the winner did pay him 6 gold.
And I think there's just this moment of like all of us finally being in the same place after making our rounds and, looking at everyone who has made it to this party, and we kind of catch eyes and all come together at the same place.
I think that Dull is the first to recommend it, but he suggests that we all go down to the chandlery, the sort of sanctum we made back when it was in preparation of Tom, the thing we made so that we felt the most safe, the most secure, where we had every major argument that led up to that day. And I think we steal bottles of wine, and we actually invite Rue. She's the only one besides us allowed in, and I think we sneak down there while the party's still raging upstairs.
We trust, probably
Dylan.
shouldn't, but we trust Dylan to be the master of ceremonies.
Don't worry, everyone. I'll keep them out of the important rooms. So, everyone get this way. Pick up that chicken bone. This ain't no fucking bathroom. Pick that up.
You tell him, Dylan.
That's right. I've got one job here, and I can't remember it, so I'm going to do this one instead. And you see Spirit Dylan floating around, making people pick up their trash.
I just wanted to bring you all down here, get away from the crowd. Last time we threw a party like this, we were all very tired. Now we're just all very old. I want you to know that when I met you all, like so many other things in my life, I had no idea what it was going to mean to me until it was over. And it's not over yet, not in any real way, but I don't think any part of you surprised me. Not the powers, not the capability, not everything that you were, except for the love that you brought into my life. And I think that is the only reason that I ever once liked any of you. That I wanted to be this. I never loved like the 3 of you showed me. And now it's all I do. And I have all of you to thank for that. And I think he toasts his drink.
After the toast, Vetra puts her drink down and holds an arm out to shake yours.
I give, if Vetra allows me, just a very platonic but loving kiss on the forehead.
Absolutely.
I think while they link their foreheads together, Winnie will extend her glass towards Theo's for a little cheers just between the two of them and drink. Just absolutely swept away by the moment. But more than that, the people who make it.
As you clink your glass against Theo's, she very subtly snaps her fingers, and all of the lights in the chandlery glow a little bit brighter. And she looks at you, Winnie, and she says, "You taught me that one too."
I'd say that we see sort of overlaid with this almost the exact same scene. The 13 heroes in a tavern way long ago, being so close and having so much fun and friendship and camaraderie together. And as they sort of fade, we see how these heroes are different. These heroes chose to stay together. And I think that is where we will end our story. Camera opens underwater, and you see a green little glow in the distance, flashes on, flashes off. As the camera gets closer and closer and closer, you see is a little crystal orb. It has some sort of green light inside of it. You see this is prophecy. You see a green hand reach out and crack!
I let BJ know that all of us are dead and that it is all up to Theo.
Yep.
Winnie only has.
Don't say it. I don't.
It's. We don't want to know. It's grim.
Caleb,
What?
I love you.
I
But
love
what
it.
the
It's
fuck?
perfect.
What do you
It's
mean, what the
perfect.
fuck? He had no idea and he tried to kill Theo.
It's so
That-
good.
That I cannot believe
It is called.
That's an interesting name.
Thanks.
My goodness. You guys are getting me on my toes, on my toes. As the camera is sort of backing up. As the camera